Recording it. So today we are going to discuss about error detection and correction. So as you know that whenever you are transmitting the data from uh, physical layer to physical layer via transmission line, then in that case there is every possibility that error may occur when you transmit the data. So what happens if the error occurs? Let us discuss about it. So data can be corrected during the transmission, and some of the application requires error to be detected and corrected. So for that purpose, let us try to understand what kind of errors are there. What do you mean by redundancy? What is the difference between detection and correction, and how we can do it, and what are the different methodologies that we can go with. So the errors are of two types. First one is a single bit error and burst error. So single bit error means only one bit in a data unit has been changed. That means let us consider this is what the data you want to start. If you are sending 00000010, this is what your transmitted data. Instead of that, if you receive 00001010 is the received data, that means the fourth bit is changed from 0 to 1. So this is a single bit error. So in 8 bit only one bit had changed, and this is called as a single bit error. And this error may be because of noise of longer period or any kind of spike that occurs, which is again a noise. So that can be considered as an error. So this is a single bit error. So that can be easily detected and that can be easily corrected. But if the error is more than 2 bits, then it is called as a burst error. It is called as a burst error. Now you can see the example that 010001000100011, this is what the data you want to transmit. Now you can see that this 0 has been changed to 1, this 0 has been changed to 1, this 0 has been changed to 1, and this 0 has been changed to 1. That means the data is changed by 4 bits, which is obviously more than 2 bits. Hence it is called as a burst error. So error is bursted, that's why it is called as a burst error. So the length of burst is measured from the first corrupted bit to last corrupted bit. It is more than 2, hence we call it as a burst error. So most likely to occur than single bit error, as noise affects the data, and the number of bits affected depends upon the data rate and the duration of the noise. So there are some important concepts that are related with the error. First one is the redundancy. So redundancy is the central concept that is used for detecting and correcting the error. That is called as a redundancy, that bits are added with data as a redundant bits, and these bits are used to detect the error and correct the errors. Now what is the difference between detection and correction? So correction is more difficult than detection. That means in detection simply you have to look whether the received information and transmitted information is same or not. If it is same, there is no error detected. But if it is not, then in that case you have to find out which bit has gone wrong, and that bit you have to detect and you have to correct it. So in correction you need to exactly find out the number of bits corrected and its position also. So if you correct it, then and then only you can find it. So you can see that the correction is more difficult as compared to detection. Then there are two types of error corrections are possible. First one is forward error correction and retransmission. In forward error correction, actually you are trying to find out the process where the receiver tries to guess the message by redundant bits, and it will try to find out where the error exactly occurs, and it will try to change the error. So this is possible for small errors. But if the burst error occurs, then in that case the only correction method is retransmission of the data. So retransmission occurs. In this technique, the receiver detects the occurrence and it asks the senders to resend the message, and resending is repeated until the message received is error free. So to detect or correct the errors, we need some extra bits, and that extra bits are called as a redundant bits. Now this is the redundancy, just try to understand it. Now this is the sender's information. Here you can see that this is the sender information. So sender wants to send the information, and this is the data he wants to send it. When he wants to send the data, to that data the sender will add some extra bits. So these extra bits, which are based on these bits, are called as the redundant bits, and these redundant bits are used to identify, detect and correct the errors, and it is transmitted through the medium, and at receiving end the data with redundancy bit is received. So after that there will be a process in which the syndrome is characterized, and if the syndrome is 0, then in that case the data is accepted as it is, or else if the syndrome is not matched, then in that case data is rejected. So this is the simplest method of using redundancy. So here you can see that the bits are added. So these bits are added extra with the data, and data and redundancy will be transmitted, and at receiving end data and redundancy will be received, and these redundancy bits are utilized to calculate the or to detect and correct the errors. Now how it happens, let us see. So there are two types of codings are possible with the help of redundancy. Redundancy is achieved through the various coding schemes. So sender add the redundant bits to the actual data, creating the relationship between them. Actually there is a relationship between the data and redundant bits. So how that relation is occurred, let us see one by one. So receiver checks the relationship between the detected and corrected errors, and the ratio of redundant bits to data bits and its robustness is very important in this process. So there are two categories by which we can generate such kind of codes, that is called as a block code and convolution code. So convolution code we are not going to cover it, but block codes we are going to cover it in our syllabus. Now the same information you can see here. The sender is sending the message, and the method is called as the encoding method, in which you will be adding the redundancy. You will be adding the redundancy, and that method is called as the encoding of the message. So message, that is nothing but data, and that data is passed through a generator where the redundant bits are added to your message, and message and redundancy will become encoded data, and that encoded data is transmitted over unreliable transmission, where the error may get added or error may cause. At receiving end you receive the information, so that received information may be a message plus redundancy bits, and the checker will be there. That checker will check the relation between the redundancy bit and the message data. If the data found is correct, it will be accepted. If it is not, then it will be discarded. So this method is called as a decoding method. So at transmission end encoding occurs, and at receiving end decoding occurs. This is how the information proceeds. So we will be concentrating on only block modes, and we'll leave the convolution code for the next one. So there is one technique that is you are very familiar with, modulo n arithmetic or XORing of the bits. You are familiar with this kind of concept, XORing. So you know the XORing concept. When you add when you XOR 0 with 0, the output is 0. When you XOR 1 with 1, output is 0. When there is a difference between the two bits, the output is 1. So 0 and 1 will produce 1, 1 and 0 will produce 1. So now you can see that a 5-bit addition or 5-bit XORing of the 2 bits will be like this: 1 0 1 1 0 is XORed with 1 1 1 0 0. Now you can see that how many bits are changing the position. Now 1 1, obviously it is going to produce 0 as per this equation. Then 0 1, again it will be 1, 1 1 0 1 0 1 and 0 0 1. Now you can see that this XOR pattern will result you in 0 1 0 1 0. This is what this will give you. There are 2 bits which are different from the previous bits. So if I take this one as a code A and this one as a code B, then in that case the code A and B differs by 2 bits. So this is the bit, 4th bit, and this is the 2nd bit, where A and B differs from each other. So this will be helpful in some of the coding techniques. This is called as a Hamming code or a Hamming distance also. So that we are going to see it. So blocking codes. So the data word of k bits, it's called as a data word, and to that if I add the redundant bits, then that redundant bits, that is n equal to k plus r, that is a code word, and that code word is nothing but an encoded word. That encoded word you are sending it over the transmission line. So n is always greater than k, hence possible code words are always larger than the possible data words. So if you have a data words with you and if you have a code words with you, you can easily detect if the code words is available with you, and if that code word doesn't match with the transmitted data code word, then in that case you can easily detect the error is there, and accordingly you can find out the error. So this technique is useful for error detection, error correction, Hamming distance, and minimum Hamming distance that we are going to see. So if the k bit data is there, then that will generate 2 raised to k. So obviously if the k bits are there, then the generated bits are 2 raised to k information or data bits are. So if the information consists of 4 bit, then you can generate 16 bits of data words, and to that if I add 1 bit as an extra bit, that is redundant bit. So let us consider that if I consider here it is k is equal to 4, then I can generate 16 data words. And here if my redundant bit is of 1, then I can generate n equal to 2 raised to n, that is equal to 32. So I can generate 32 code words. So 2 raised to n code words will generate, out of which only 2 raised to k are valid. That means out of 32, only 16 are valid code words. 16 are only valid code words. So this is how I can generate the code word. But redundant bit 1, there are certain advantages and there are certain disadvantages. Like how it happens, let us see. So if I generate a code word with a 4 bit and 5 bits, so 4 bits and 5 bits means 4 bits is a data block, so k is equal to 4 and n is equal to 5. So if I say this is representing as a k and this is representing as a n, then in that case k is equal to 4 and n is equal to 5. So 2 raised to k are the 16 data words I can generate, and 2 raised to n, that is 32 code words I can generate. So 16 out of 32 are only valid and others are used or they are not utilized at all. So error detection will occur. A receiver can detect a change in original code word. If the receiver has a list of valid code words, then original code word had changed to invalid one, then you can easily detect whether there is a change in code word or not. Suppose if I send you A, so instead of A you receive E, and that E is not in your list, then you can say that whatever may be the received code word is there, that is not in my list, that means this code is not meant for me. But if A code is there in your list, you can easily identify that okay, this code is valid code word for me, and accordingly you can find out the data related to that one. So enough redundancy bits are required to be added to detect the error. Receiver knows an error occurred, but it does not know in which bit the error has occurred. Okay, in error detection has occurred, but you don't know in which bit the error has occurred. So for that purpose you will be requiring more number of redundant bits. So has a so less overheads than error correction. So error correction requires more overheads because it requires more redundant bits to identify where the error has occurred. Then block coding detects only single error, and two or more errors can remain undetected. So block code has a disadvantage that it can only detect only one error, and if you the errors are more than two, then in that case it may remain undetected. So this is again the same technique, the k bits, where the generator will add the redundant bits to it and it will form a code word, and that code word is transmitted to unreliable transmission, and the checker will check the code word, and if that code word is not there in the list, valid list, then in that case it will discard it, and if it is there, if the code word is valid one, then it is accepted. So let us consider that this is the example where k is equal to 2, that means data is of 2 and n is equal to 3. So the third bit is the redundant bit that is added to the core data word. So how many data words you can generate? 2 raised to 2 is equal to 4 bits you can generate. And how many code words you can execute? You can have 8 code words. Now how these code words are generated, let us see. Now let us consider the example that you assume that the sender encodes the data word 01 as 011 and sends, and receiver receives it. Okay, so it is a valid code word. Let us see. Now sender is sending this information. The sender has sent this information 01, but the code word generated for this 01 is 011, and receiver receives the same one. So in this table, whether this code is available, yes, this code is available, so this is a valid code, and the data received is 01. Okay, so the code received is 011 and the data received is 01, so both are valid. Now next one is, let us consider that the code word is corrupted one. Code word is corrupted one, and you have received 111. Now you just go to the previous one and you see here in this code, because k is equal to 2, so here you can see that k is equal to 2, so data words generated are 4 only. Okay, and to this n is equal to 3, so data words generated will be 8, but valid code word will be only 4. Valid code will be only, how many valid codes will be there? These valid codes will be only 4. Why? Because these are the valid data. So valid code will be only 4, so remaining 4 will not be a valid code. So instead of that you have received 111. So 111, just go to the previous one. 111 is not there in code word, so the received code is not a valid code, hence it is discarded. Now the code word is corrupted again and you have received 000. Now 000 is there, but that code word is corrupted one. 000 is there, but that code word is corrupted one. Now let us consider that there are two errors or occurs. So that you have transmitted 10 and the code word for 10 is 101. Okay, but you have received 0000. So error is occurred in first bit and the last bit. So first bit and last bit the error has occurred, but the error is a twice error. So you have received 000, but even though the code is valid, but the data received is not the correct one, because what you have transmitted 10 and you have received 00. So two corrupted bits, it is undetectable in this error. So for that purpose we need to go for another different techniques for detecting. So error detecting code can detect only a typical type of errors for which it is designed, and the others errors or the errors more than that cannot be detected. So error correction using block code much more difficult than the error detection. It needs more redundant bits for error correction than error detection. Now this is, we have already seen the structure of the encoder and decoder for error correction. It is the same one but with some little bit differences. Now you can see that the table remains same. For the example that we have already seen, that k is equal to 2. So for k is equal to 2, now here instead of that k is equal to 2, let me write it over here so that you can understand it. Let k is equal to 2, but r is equal to 3. Now the redundant bits are increased. So these three redundant bits are added. So n is equal to k plus r is equal to, it becomes equal to 5. Now you can say that previously we tried to transmit only n equal to 3. Now the two redundant bits are increased. Now assume that you have sent the data 01, and for that 01 the sender will create a code word 01 remain as it is, and these are the three extra bits that are added. So 01011 is the data code word generated for that one, and code word gets corrupted between the transmission and you receive 01001 is the received data. So first receiver finds that the received code word is not in table. This means that error has occurred, and the receiver assumes that there is only one bit is corrupted and uses following strategy to identify the error. Now here you can see that 01 you tried to transmit, and this is what the data associated with or code word associated with that one, and it will try to find out the error. What it does, it first compares the code word with the first code word of the table. So first code word with the table, it is 0100 versus 0000, and the receivers decides that the first code word is not the one which is sent. Now it will do with other code words. The third and fourth, you can see the difference. Just see, you just try to compare these two. You can see that the received code word is I'll write it over here. The received code word is 0100 1. Now you just come add with this one. So here it is change, here it is change. So the change is of 2 bits. Here it is, you can check it, the change is with only this one, so change is of 1. I'll write it over here. Okay, in bracket I'll write it so that you can understand. Now you compare with this one, this is changed, this is changed, this is changed. So there is a change of 3. Again you combine, you check with this one, 1 2 3, so there is a change of 3, so difference of 3 changes. So you can see that there is a difference between 2 bits, that there is a difference between, so the closest one is the second bit, and it will try to change the code word with this code word, because the data word is only corrected by, or there is a difference of only 1 bit, so which is the nearest one, and this will help you to find out the corrected code word, and if you find out the corrected code word, that will automatically give you the corrected data. So there is one concept called as a Hamming distance. So Hamming distance you can easily find out for error control. So this Hamming distance is the distance between the 2 words of same size. This is very important. This is very important. 2 words of same size. Size means the bit size should be same. Is the number of differences between the corresponding bits. Now you can see how you can calculate the so Hamming distance you can calculate with the help of XOR operation. XORing we have already seen. So how many number of ones are there, that is the Hamming distance between the 2 words. So let us find out the distance between these two. Now here it is 0 0 0 0 0 0. You XOR it. So this is XORing, you will be doing it, and you will be doing it with 0 1 1. Now I want to calculate with XORing. So 0 0 is 0, 0 1 is 1, and 0 1 is 1. So how many bits ones are there? So there are 2 ones. So my Hamming distance between these 2 code words is 2. Similarly you can calculate the Hamming distance for this one also. So Hamming distance between 1 0 1 0 1 and 1 1 1 1 0. Now you simply XOR it. So if you XOR it, this is the symbol for XOR. If you XOR, this is 0, don't consider it as a 6, this is 0. So 1 1 is 0, 0 1 is 1, 1 1 is 0, 0 1 is 1, 1 0 is 1. So how many bits are there? How many ones are there? So 3. So the distance between these 2 code words is 3. So this is how you can calculate the Hamming distance, and this Hamming distance is useful for detecting the error and calculating the error or correcting the errors also. So the minimum Hamming distance is the smallest Hamming distance between all the possible pairs of the set words. So if 10 words are there, then you calculate the smallest possible distance between all the possible pairs, and that will give you the smallest Hamming distance. Now let us consider that 0 0 0 and all the possible pairs you have considered. So Hamming distance is 2. So the Hamming distance, that is d min, in this case is equal to 2. Now here you try to calculate the pairs that are already given to you, and through that you will try to calculate the distance. Then you can see that 3 3 4 4 3 3 is the Hamming distance. So which is the minimum Hamming distance? So minimum number is 3. So d minimum is, in this case, is 3 for 6 pairs. So Hamming codes are utilized for detecting the errors. So you can detect the errors. How many errors you can detect? So dmin -1. So these are the errors you can detect. So these are the errors you can detect. And how many errors? Suppose if S errors occurs during the transmission, so Hamming distance is S, then for detecting the S errors, what should be the minimum Hamming distance? So that minimum Hamming distance should be S plus 1. So if you want to detect the S errors and you want to calculate the minimum Hamming distance, then in that case you should ensure that your Hamming distance, that d mean, that must be equal to S plus 1. So if you want to detect 2 errors, then your d mean should be equal to 3. If you want to detect 4 errors, then your d mean should be equal to 5. That you need to consider. So to guarantee the detection up to S errors, your d mean equal to S plus 1. So this is how you can calculate. So if this is what the maximum distance you can cover, so if d mean is greater than S, you can easily identify the errors, you can detect the S type of errors. And if you want to correct the errors, then d mean should be greater than 2t. So if you want to correct the errors of t, then your d mean should be equal to 2t plus 1. If this is happening, then and then only you can correct t errors. So if you want to correct 2 errors, then your d minimum should be 2 into 2 plus 1, that is d minimum must be 5. So this distance you have to adjust it. So this is what the example we have already considered, I have already discussed with. So if the d minimum is equal to 4, how many errors you can detect? So you can detect d mean is equal to 4. So here it is, you can write it. So d mean, so I'll simply write it as equal to dm equal to S plus 1. So S plus 1. So this is given to you. So this is 4, and yes, you want to calculate. So S plus 1. So obviously S equal to 3. So you can detect 3 errors. So you can detect 3 errors. So if you want to correct the error codes, then in that case your distance should be obviously odd. It should be 2t plus 1. So Hamming codes work well with the reasonably expected errors. Then Hamming codes are useless when multiple adjacent errors occurs. So if the burst error occurs, then in that case Hamming code is not that much useful. So this is actually not utilized when the burst errors are occurring. So for that purpose we need to move for the next course, that is called as a linear block code. And you are familiar with the linear block code in your digital communication. You have already studied these kind of linear block codes. So almost all the block codes are used today are the subsets of these linear block codes. So linear block code is a code in which exclusive OR, that is modulo 2 operations occurs to get a valid code words, and that will generate a valid code word. So you can see the example of the table 1 and 2 that we have already seen. Now let us consider that here it is n equal to k plus 1. So code words, you know that you have already, you can generate the data words, and to that if you will be adding only one redundant bit as a 5th bit. So here it is the redundant bit, here it is a redundant bit, so this is a redundant bit added to this one. So these are the redundant bits added. So here it is the redundant bit in the last case. So this redundant bit is nothing but a parity bit. So you are familiar with the parity bit concept. So if the number of bits in the data word is even, then it is a parity. If it is odd, then in that case it is a parity bit. So if the parity bit is to be added, then you can see that here it is no ones are there, so parity bit added is 0. Now if you want to make a even parity, so if you want to make a even parity, then you need to take care that here it is 1 is there, so you need to add 1. Here it is 1 is there, so you need to add 1. Here 2 ones are there, so already even parity has occurred, so you added the 0. Now this combination you need to take into consideration. So how you are going to generate a parity? So parity will be generated with a modulo 2 operation. So modulo 2 operation 0 0 1 1, that will generate automatically 0. So whenever there is a 2 number comes, 2 equal number comes, so if I simply take a modulo of these 4 bits, if I take a modulo of these 4 bits, it will generate a 5th bit as a 0. So this is how actually the sequence is. The modulo R0 is generated by at sender end. This is for sender. Let me write it over here so that you can understand it. This is for sender. So this is for sender, how the data is generated or how the R0 bit is generated. Now simply you take this is a modulo addition. This is not a simple addition, this is a modulo addition. That means A3 is XORed with A2, A2 is XORed with A1, A1 is XORed with A0. So you can see that this is the data word and this is the generator. Generator simply adds this function. It simply XORed all the 4 bits and it will generate a parity bit. So this parity bit will be generated. Now at receiving end, you will be receiving all the 5 bits. So you need to generate a checker. So checker, what it will do, it will generate a syndrome that is S0. Now when you take this, all the 5 bits are added, and when this syndrome will be generated, and if this syndrome is 0, then in that case logical decision will be taken by this analyzer, and it will check if the syndrome is 0, that means no error has occurred, so data is accepted, and if the syndrome is 1, then in that case it simply discards the bit. So you can see that you just go to the previous bit and you can see that how whether the syndrome generated is, just go to the previous one. Let us consider this case only, 0 0 1 1 0. Okay, now in this sender we will try to add this. What it will do, R0, so R0 will be generated by 0 is moduled with 0, is moduled with 1, is moduled with 1. So obviously 0 with 0 is 0, 0 with 1 is 1, and 1 with 1 is obviously 0. So R0 will be 0. Now I will add this. So the 0 added with 0 added with 1 added with 1 added with, obviously this is modulo 2 addition. So what will be the generation? Again it is a modulo 2 generation, modulo 2 addition will be there. So 0 is added with 0, 0, 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 0, and 0 plus 0 is 0. So syndrome generated is 0. That means the code word is valid and the data is accepted. So instead of that, if I receive this code word 0 0 1 1 1, now my parity bit is generated is 1, and this is not a valid code, so my code word is now discarded. Now you can see that whether 00111 code word is there, whether you can see any type of code word over here. 000000, you are starting with 0000, so 00111 is not there, so 0011 is not there, so this is not a valid code, and the syndrome generated is 1, hence that is not a valid code, hence the code is discarded. This is how encoder and decoder for a simple parity bit works. So receiver, when the syndrome generated is 0, it is a valid code. So if the syndrome generated is 1, it is not a valid code. So a single parity check, you can easily detect the odd number of errors. So we have already seen this example. So Hamming code, the error correcting code of the dimension parity check. So you can check the relation between m and n. N is equal to 2 raised to m. Hamming code you can generate like this: 2 raised to m minus 1. So m is greater than or equal to 3. So k is equal to n minus m, that we have already seen. So if m is equal to 3, that is the message bit equal to 3, and total number of valid code, number of bits in valid code is 7, then k is equal to 4. So if you consider that m is the redundant bits that are added, then here you can see that 7 is the total number of bits, 4 is the data, the number of check bits, then m is equal to the number of check bits, so d minus 4 or k minus 4, sorry, n minus 4, that will give you the d minimum. So there is, if you want to check the two-dimensional parity, you can check the column parity as well as row parity, and this will be helpful to calculate this parity bit for row as well as column. So this bit will give you the parity of row as well as column. So here you can detect the error that occurs in one of the parties. So number of rows and number of columns you can check and you can find out in which bit the error is there. So if the two errors are there, then that is also quite possible you can find out. But if the errors are more than that, then it is very difficult to check the errors. So 3 errors you can easily detect because d minimum is equal to 3, and that you can check it. But if the errors are more than 4, that is very difficult to identify, because in the same there are 2 errors, in the same there are 2 errors. Here it is again the same row is there are 2 errors. So the error detection in 2 consecutive or the 2 neighboring pixels or the 2 neighboring bits, it is difficult to identify. So the Hamming code, now you can generate the Hamming code like this. So 0000, so you can generate the Hamming code. Obviously each code word you can find out, this each code word is different, and these redundant bits, the bits shown in red color are redundant bits, and these redundant bits are different from other bits. These redundant bits are different from other bits. How these are generated? Now let us see. So you can see that these are the bits. So encoder A0, A2, A1, A0. So these are the taken as it is, and the generator will generate R2, R1 and R0, but R0 combination is achieved from A2, A1 and A0. So first these least significant bits are added together to generate R0. R1, these A1, A2 and A3 are added together to get R1, and R2 is added, A1, A0 and A3 are added to get R2. So this is how you can generate R0, R1 and R2 combination. So other combinations are also possible that you can decide it. So you can combine A1, A2, A3 as a R0. So that is quite possible. So that generation you need to decide it. So whenever you will be adding it, so at S0, that syndrome S0, S1 and S2, that depends upon Q0, Q1 and Q2. So Q0 is added to S0, Q1 is added to S1 and Q2 is added to S2. Now you can see that this A2, A1 and A0 is the combination with R0. So B0, B1 and B2 is the combination for S0. Now B1, A1, A2 and A3. So B1, B2 and B3 is the combination for S1 and A0, A1 and A3 is the combination for this S2. B0, B1 and B3 is the combination with this Q2 is for the combination for calculating syndrome S0. So if syndrome received is 0, 0, 0, then there is no error occurred in that and the data is accepted as it is, else the data is not sorry, then there is a problem with the data is not accepted, data is discarded. Okay, now this is what the syndrome is there. So if the generated syndrome is 0, 0, 0, there is no error. If the syndrome generated is 0, 0, 1, then there is a error in Q0. If the generated error or syndrome is 0, 1, 0, there is a error with Q1. If 0, 1, 1, there is a error with B2. If 1, 0, 0, there is a error with Q2 and so on. So in which bit error has occurred, that you can easily find out with this syndrome logic, and the logic analyzer will correct it accordingly which kind of syndrome it is. So this is how you can detect the error. So this is one method and you can easily trace the errors related to this. So this is the example we have already discussed. Now let us consider that how many bits. Now we need a data word of at least 7 bits. Calculate the value of k and n that satisfy this requirement. So k is equal to n minus m, greater than or equal to 7, or 2m minus 1 minus m, it should be greater than or equal to 7. Now if we set m is equal to 3, the result is n equal to 23 minus 1 and k is equal to 7 minus 3 or 4, which is not acceptable. So if we set m equal to 4, then in that case n is equal to 24 minus 1, so that will generate a 15 number of bits, and k is equal to 15 minus 4, that is 11. So c is equal to, that code generation is equal to 15, 11. So this is how you can generate the codes, and these are the code words. Burst error, if the burst error occurs, what happens? So Hamming code only detect a single error or detect the double error, but there is a problem. So we need to go for a next code that is called as a cyclic code. So we'll stop here only. We'll see cyclic code in tomorrow's lecture.